Hello, little willies. I didn't have time to put a lot of the build process in the video for the scale, so I'm gonna show you a little bit of that right now. If you haven't seen the video on my main channel, this is a scale that measures how many calories you've eaten, and if you've eaten too many calories, it shocks you with this fork and a knife. It makes it more difficult for you to eat. It's so that it can be not fat. So the caja de toques, I just took the handles and taped wires to them and taped those to the utensils. I didn't really show that. I could have showed that, but it's just not enough time. All right, now the scale. This is a Neopixel Strip. Super easy to use. I think they're incredibly cheap too. I had to take the pins off of that side and put them on this side. I think they soldered the pins to the wrong side. But this is like a simple Arduino library, and you can just say, you know, like which one you want lit up and what color. It's super simple. The display right here is multiplex. There's another library too. Like a lot of this stuff is hard to use if you just have to figure it out yourself. And so you just use a library and someone's already done the hard work for you. It takes up like, you know, a bunch of pins. I don't know what that is, 8 pins on the Arduino. But you know, you get like a cool button thing and it works really reliably. Then the 7-segment display, it's the same thing. It's just like, it's a smart display. It has its own kind of hardware on it, and it's just a library that you use on the Arduino. And so you literally just download the library inside of, you know, the Arduino IDE, and you just say what you want. You're like, I want it to say this, I want it to say that, and it just works. You don't have to sit there and do any of the other complicated stuff that usually comes with displays. So this is sort of the heart of everything. This is the load cell. I think this was like $10 or $13 on Amazon. And the load cell is basically a combination of a strain gauge and something that can bend. And in this case, the thing that can bend is the aluminum, and it's been hollowed out so it bends a little bit more easily. And then the strain gauge is just, imagine like if you have a piece of wire like this, and it just loops back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And when you stretch it, so like if I take this wire right here, and I stretch it out, I'm trying my best to stretch it, and I stretch it. As I stretch it, the diameter becomes a little bit thinner, which increases the resistance. And if you have a bunch of wire going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and you pull them all, you know, parallel to each other, they'll all stretch a little bit, which will increase the resistance. And that's what happens here. You can kind of see where the little white cap is. That's where there's a strain gauge on the top and the bottom. And then they get combined into a circuit on this little amplifier board. The circuit's usually called, it's usually a Wheatstone bridge, which is more complicated, and it amplifies it, and then it digitally sends the signal to the Arduino. And that's just another library. So all you have to do is buy this thing, and then install the library, and it just works. And they've got some examples of how to, you know, calibrate it and whatnot. And then there's just the Arduino on that cool little screw terminal board, plus the lever nuts. And then the servo motor up here that drives the caja de toques dial. The way that you can measure calories is you can assume that calories are linear to weight, right? So if you have a hamburger and it has 800 calories, if you eat, okay, wait. If you have a hamburger and it weighs 1 pound and is 800 calories, if you eat half a pound, you can assume you've eaten 400 calories. So that's just kind of like assuming that it's homogeneous. Like every time you take a bite of the hamburger, you take a bite of like the average calories of the hamburger. If you have something like the salad, if you eat just the chicken in the salad, you're obviously eating more calories. So it's like, I mean, you get it, right? It's sort of the idea. You can't perfectly measure the actual calories. You just have to enter the calories and assume that it's linear to weight. And someone on Twitter, I got angry at a post where it was like, you never use y equals mx plus b. And like, that's literally what this is. You have the slope, which is basically the calories per pound. And then you have your starting point and your end point, and like, boom, there you go. Now you can figure out, if I know it's this many calories, if it's so many, 2,000 calories at 1 pound and 0 calories at 0 pounds, I can find any point in the middle of the two. It's just a line that you've drawn. And that's it. I hope you've enjoyed this second channel video. It's also kind of why I didn't really show a lot of the build process, because it's just electronics and a 3D print and pretty straightforward. I probably could have explained it better, but yeah, I didn't have any time. Thanks for watching.